Here we go. My guests are the Bee Gees, Barry and Robin and Morris. They're all here this afternoon. I'm not quite sure whether we should say welcome home or are you having a nice trip?
Well, hello, Roger.
Welcome home is nice. Yeah.
It is welcome home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least one of us is resident in England. Robin.
Yes.
Yeah. And the two of us eventually will be. So it applies. It's still nice to hear it. You can still say it.
Why do you actually want to come back? Because one would think looking at the weather outside, you think, well, you're in Miami and there's that sunshine and that sea.
Yeah.
I nearly just got blown away outside. I've got these big Oxford bags on. You can't see me at the moment, but I've got these terrifically wide trousers on, and I'm used to wearing tight trousers. And I was signing a couple of autographs outside in my big baggy trousers, and like all of a sudden I was 20 feet down the street before I knew it.
Well, you shouldn't wear those trousers.
Well, I guess we'll always be here or there in different parts of the world, but the real reason we would like to get back here at some stage is for our children, and when it's time for them to go to a higher school in kindergarten or whatever it is. In America, the schools are very violent and the drug-ridden.
The drug problem is getting worse in America.
So for the higher stages of school, like primary and high school, and things, we'd like them to go here. So,
as Miami and Florida in general is the area that you really hear about. I mean,
well, it is
violence,
literally now the most violent city in America, and we never thought we'd live in it, but we actually do. And
we have our problems here, but nothing on that scale.
Right. Well, they're not shoveling them up out of the gutter every day like they are in Miami. You know. It's
but not
crazy,
only that,
you know.
the riots that they do have here. I mean, riots are terrible wherever they are. But the difference with the riots in England, and American people are the first to say, well, you're having riots too in England. But the big difference is the death rates on riots in England are very, very low. In fact, there's always a big hoo-ha if anyone ever gets killed. Over there, when there's riots, it's the first thing that happens is people get killed, even the police. And because everyone's carrying guns.
It's a sticky situation when even the police are quitting their jobs.
Yeah.
We know we have problems in England, but thank God we're still living in a society in England where the police don't carry guns, and people don't feel they have to carry them because there is not that threat with handguns.
Why did you actually choose Miami in the first place when you moved over there?
We went there to make an album with Arif Marden Eric Clapton told us about a studio where he'd done 461 Ocean Boulevard, which was called Criteria.
Criteria Studios.
We were trying to turn around our careers. At that point in time, we weren't selling many records at all, and we decided to go to Miami and try making a new album in this studio with this new producer. And
he also produced the Average White Band. Aretha Franklin.
And he helped, and in that way we turned our whole career around. So we've always felt close to Miami for that reason, because nothing was happening to us before that time.
Right.
So and I also fell in love with the climate and everything, and bought a house there, and just one thing led to another. You just wanted to stay there longer.
That album you're talking about, Main Course. I mean, that was the turning point, because before that, I mean,
it was real quiet. Yeah.
And
That
you were living
whistle,
here.
Say no more.
What does that whistle really signify?
That was,
remembers too.
I was playing those grotty clubs. I mean, grotty clubs.
Yes,
Those are the
Batchelys,
pits.
and How's Your Father, and those places. Yes, yes.
Well,
Oh,
are you terrified? I mean, is it fear of failure that going back into that sort of thing that pushes you on now?
Don't you think everyone has that? I think everyone does. When you get into a decent position in life, no matter what you do as a living, you have the fear of failure. Every man has it. I think it's part of our macho, whatever we're supposed to be. Our metabolism.
Whatever situation that arises, that will never happen to us again. In so much as that we will never. I mean, if there ever was a situation in our life or our career where that would happen,
we would stop being the Bee Gees.
We would stop being the Bee Gees completely and concentrate on writing and producing other artists, as we have done in the past 2 years with Barbra Streisand and people like that. We've never really felt that the Bee Gees have been the most important thing for the Bee Gees' lives. We had to stop thinking like that a long time ago, once the Bee Gees achieved the things they wanted to achieve. We can't always see ourselves being the Bee Gees forever. I don't think we really want to be, but we'll always be the Brothers Gibb, and we'll write and produce for our heart's content until we drop dead. But we still will probably always bring out the odd Bee Gee record,
But you won't see the Bee Gees slide into little clubs.
No,
because we won't be around to see that happen. If we sense it, we'll be out.
that enormous success that you found when you came back to this country in '67, it happened very quickly. Do you think, looking back on it now, that it all happened too fast, too much?
Well, it's hard to look back in retrospect and try to think how it might have been as compared to how it was. It's simply how it was. And when we arrived in England, we were very green, very ignorant of international show business. You know, we'd come from Australia. We did have a #1 single when we left Australia, so we'd like to feel that we were having some sort of success when we left, when we came to England. Not in England, but in the place we'd left. So we felt like we were on our way somewhere, and then we met Robert Stigwood, and everything tied up. We signed with NEMS, and it was very fast after that. Our first hit single was about 3-4 months after that. And it was chaos, and you made too much money too fast, and the fame came very fast, and I think that's what led to us splitting up. And as brothers, you have to imagine that it was bad, because for 3 brothers to split up, this business can get very chaotic, and there are a lot of drugs involved back then, like in the Flower Power days. Wherever you turned around, there was somebody on something. It doesn't exist quite so much today, but it is there. But in those days, it was pretty well right through the industry. You know, the idea was Flower Power, and whatever you can take it. You know.
Yeah.
And,
so you were basically too young, and you couldn't really
crazy,
cope with
yeah.
all that because everybody else, and you just got caught up in it all.
it was high-speed competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Turn to pleasanter things. Let me play a song from the new album, and this is the one that, on first listening to the album, this was the one that jumped out at me, and it's the
Right.
one that Morris actually sings.
Oh,
Wildflower.
On
Thank you, Roger.
Wildflower. Now, this is a fairly rare occurrence, you singing lead on a Bee Gees
Well,
song.
this album we started off by being, first of all, the original Bee Gees, and going back to that sort of our harmonies and so forth, and the songs are just naturally new and more contemporary. But Wildflower to me is a track that we all decided, first of all, we wanted Robin's voice more on this album as well, and then naturally we all assumed that, you know, I have to have one as well, and we all have a single each more or less on the album. And Wildflower to me was the kind of track I've always wanted to record. It was a sort of, especially with people like Don Felder from the Eagles playing guitar on it, and the sort of acoustic sound and the lovely strings and so forth, and the warmth of it with the vocals, it's the kind of track I always wanted to record, and I'm so glad I got a chance to do it.
And here it is.